everyone that worked in the company was like, what the heck?
I know.
How did they get such a nice place?
I know. And so coaching them instead of stepping in and doing that has been a big transition for me, but it's been so rewarding.
You know, the people that are in Knoxville are the most equipped people to tell you about how to build in Knoxville. What's some new stuff that's coming?
I mean, we're really focusing on showrooms.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Barndo Show. I'm so excited to have Miss Alicia here again to talk about all things sales and growth and all the crazy stuff that we do every single day. It's always fun because your perspective is like inside of it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm always talking about new markets, new opportunities and challenges, but like you live it every single day. So I guess talk about from kind of like over the last year, we've launched 2 additional locations, Dunn, North Carolina, and you were heavily involved in that, you and I both, and then Knoxville, and you had a little bit less involvement, still more involvement than me. Just talk through those, like what was that like to expand into those new markets and like some of the challenges and stuff that we had on the other side and how we solved it so that clients could have the best experience possible.
Yeah, so expansion's super fun, but it can be really stressful. So when we started the Somerville office, for example, I lived there, it was local, and it was tough. Finding subs, vendors, materials, samples, it was tough, and I lived in the market. So when we talked about expanding to Dunn, you're talking about a 3-hour difference from Somerville to Dunn with very little hands-on resources there. So starting from scratch was like a whole different challenge, but I was super excited to do it. And it took a lot of commitment, patience. We had to shop vendors. We had to find people that were local. One of the things we've realized as we expanded is having local vendors, local PMs, local suppliers. A lot of what we put in these homes are distributed here in the United States, which has been great. And I think we've really tried to keep that same flow in opening the new offices. And then also just the amount of drive time to open the new offices. You want to make sure you're there for something as small as the Amazon truck deliveries, and also for the vendors to come make sure they're installing things in the right place. And there were certainly a couple of times where I made the drive up and realized this is not what we picked. This is not what we ordered. And so we had to redo a couple things, a few times. But once we had, admin staff in there and things, it made it a lot easier. So
Well, what's fun for me is you look at the Duncan office and then the Somerville office, which was like me.
Yeah.
Those were my brain children. And then you look at Dunn and even Knoxville, and you can tell that we brought the right people on board to make beautiful showrooms.
Yes.
Like we launched Dunn, and the public's perception was, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone that worked in the company was like, what the heck?
I know.
How did they get such a nice place?
I know.
And so it's been fun to kind of like look at it and realize, like, in the beginning we didn't know what we needed. We had an idea, but we were still kind of young. And so over the course of time, we realized like what the client experience has become today is different than what it was 2 years ago when Somerville was launched. And it'll be different again.
Yeah.
But it's more client faced. So it's not a place for us to just operate with maximum efficiency. It's more of a, how do we get people in and give them an experience to where they're super comfortable, and all the questions that they ask, we can actually show them while they're sitting in there. And we put a lot of time and effort into this like design center concept. And when, like I say, Dunn was launched, and I was super involved in that one as well. Like Dunn's a fun place for me because I got family there. So back and forth and being involved. And then, Knoxville, I like showed up and there's like a fat head of me and Ross in the office, and like
It was super fun.
I had absolutely nothing to do with it. I didn't make a single decision about that. I didn't even pick the building that we went into. And so it is really neat. And the cool thing is through that process, we realized that some of our other offices needed some updates, and you were like, we're first. And so Somerville is getting ready to relocate.
Yes, we are.
To a way better space. in like the hottest spot in Somerville. So I'm pumped about that. But talk about like from like a staff perspective, because the shift in operating in multiple states and all these different offices, it's a different level of what's needed, because there's a lot of like corporate jobs like at our corporate office up in the upstate
Right.
that don't really go there because it's not something that needs to be duplicated. But there from that experience side, like you guys built out like a whole new team and you're continuing to do it. And so like from that, like what's been cool about that experience, like seeing people like needs shift and roles change and responsibilities change and all those things.
So some of the biggest roles that we've created are client experience roles to again just better improve that client facing experience, which is ultimately where all the buy-in is. And so we've had a lot of fun in quarter 4 just getting excited about what can we do to make client experience that much better. We've incorporated having clients come out and write on the framing in their home and put their hands in the cement. And we have someone who sits in a seat specifically to oversee that all of that stuff is done, it's scheduled, it's seamless, and it's such a great memory for our families to be able to do that. And the other thing we realized we needed was really good office admin and managerial staff too. One of the things we haven't had in Somerville since we started was like live plants. And so even something as small as making sure, the plants stay watered, and all the way up to, vital spreadsheets that we use in our day to day, scheduling the showrooms as we grow. You've got agents on top of agents trying to spec and meet with clients and vendors at the same time. And so those roles are probably the most important in our satellite offices, more than corporate.
Right.
Just that day to day, how can we keep things running smoothly? And so we've expanded. The really great thing about Barndo is a lot of our current staff move up and move around. And one of I think the most prominent feedback that I've gotten so far is, I came in this role, and I was offered this opportunity to grow and move to a seat that better fits what I love doing. And
Right.
that's been the funnest thing for me, is to move people into roles that really show their personal growth.
Yeah, well, it's fun. It's life changing.
Yeah.
Like you called me yesterday and was
Mhm.
telling me a story, and I was like, I love this,
Yes.
because you're getting to feel that now, like like the impact that you can have
Yeah.
in an employee's life, and the reward that comes from that. From
Right.
in the beginning, you were working hand in hand with clients, and so you got some of that. Like you see this like moment where it all becomes reality for them, and you see that joy in them, and now that you're in like this director role, you know, and some of the changes we made and the growth that we've had and the ability to go and hire the necessary people and do the things has given you the ability to not wear so many hats
Right.
and really focus on the experience and how our agents can work towards a better experience and how we can make people's journeys even better and
Yeah.
all these different things. And so now you're seeing some of that stuff, like you get to see the internal rewards of running a big team.
It's like truly managing the people that manage the people.
Yeah.
And that's been the biggest shift for me in this role, is not being with our clients every day and talking to our clients every day and improving their experience, but teaching and coaching our staff to be able to do that, because that's where our sales consultants, that's where they get their feel good reward too. And so coaching them instead of stepping in and doing that has been a big transition for me, but it's been so rewarding.
What's super fun for me right now is we're sitting on a job site in Conway, South Carolina. And 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, you and I met in Somerville, and that no office, no nothing. And I'm like telling you this vision and the skepticism of you
Yeah.
as an outsider coming in then to now being in this seat, and over the last 2 years launching multiple offices. And we just signed the leases here in Conway to start building out a brick and mortar design center here. um, Ross and I were in Greensboro earlier this week signing a lease there. You got the huge shift coming for Somerville, where you guys are moving out of Somerville down into like Nexton Square,
Yes.
which is going to be incredible.
Huge.
And it's all of it's just elevating client experience, but there's also the side of it to where you're seeing things happen
Yeah.
that like didn't seem possible 2 years ago. So, like, talk a little bit about that. Like, what's been the craziest thing for you inside of the machine? We do a lot about, like, client perspective and how we do things, but, like, being an employee here, like, you came in as a sales agent in Somerville in a market that didn't exist really,
Right.
with no support, no nothing down there, and now you sit as director of sales and you're managing sales agents in multiple states, multiple offices, and you know that we're building 6 new markets in the next 18 months.
Yeah.
Like, what has that been like for you?
It's really surreal. Uh, I came into Barndo when it was very, very fresh, new, young, and I was super excited. But I don't think anything could have prepared me for how surreal it was going to be standing here, opening an office in Conway. And even driving up here, just looking around, I thought, how are we opening an office in Conway? Like, of all the places, but it's the community that drives where we open. It's not, us just throwing a pin at the map. It's really where people are saying, please come here. Service our area. We love your core values. We love your mission. You care about the communities you serve. Like, bring some of that love here. But opening in multiple markets, it's no small feat, and it runs at a speed that is hard to put into words. Everything happens really quickly, but calculated, so it truly is controlled chaos.
Yep.
But having the team that we have and the buy-in that we have, the minute that we announce a new market, we've got people within our company that are saying, please send me there.
Yeah.
Let me open that office. Let me run that. Let me start that. And they're begging for the growth. There's no size or nervousness within the company. People are really excited about it.
So let's talk about a little bit about, like, it is organized chaos. But we've done a really good job, I think. Like, we've grown exponentially fast. We've grown at speeds to where outside people looking in are like, this is chaos. Like, this is not good. And then some of those people, because we're always hiring coaches, we're always hiring people to come in and, like, give us an outside perspective. And within a few weeks, they normally go, you should open more offices.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely working, but for a consumer, right? So if you're going to build a Barndo here, you're working with an agent that Alicia is directing and managing and handling that. Like, you're making sure that the experience is the same in every location, every agent playing by the same playbook. What does that look like? So, like, I'm a consumer and I hear, hey, you're launching a new office in Conway and one in Greensboro, and there's a plan for 4 more additional locations, and you're doing that in 18 months. Like, how do I not have a bad experience with a new set of people? Like, talk a little bit about the back end of that. Like, what are some of the things that you do during that ramp up phase, like, to prepare an office for opening?
Sure. So we have a really unique hiring process where we're touching a potential agent that's applying to come in a few different ways. We're coaching them even during the interview process. One of the most important things is not so much if they're the right fit for us, but if we're the right fit for them. And we want to make sure that we can coach them, nurture them in their career. We don't have a lot of turnover in sales, and there's a reason for that. We are very cautious and careful when hiring to make sure that there's going to be, alignment with core values, and that they're going to work very, very hard for client experience. And then once they come on board, the sales team kind of just hugs them in a way.
Yeah.
They're doing training within the offices. They're going on site. The production team is taking them to builds. They're teaching them about the construction, the process. And so I think that's one of the biggest things, is just that really hands-on training. So it's not so much like throwing you to the wolves, but the sales team does really start getting you involved. Come to my spec meeting next week. Sit in on my design team Zoom. And just really, you're drinking from a water hose, for the first couple of weeks. And then personally, I go through a lot of the process with the first couple of clients with an agent. I go through it with them. And that way they can hear me talking with clients. They can see how I approach different situations. And then they sort of mimic that moving forward. And of course, they make it their own, because sales agents are a completely different breed.
Yeah.
And so they go off script.
Yep.
But But mimicking good habits and, if you stay aligned with those core values, you will do fine and your clients will feel that love and buy-in from you.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing I always tell people is you got to imitate before you can implement.
Right.
Because you don't know what you're talking about to start with.
Yes.
But you know it works. So you
Yes.
got to imitate.
Yep.
And the more you imitate, the easier it is to implement because you're already doing the things and then you're just tweaking the steps.
Yeah.
And so like, but I know the proof's in the pudding. So, you talk about Knoxville. I'm going to use them because we launched Knoxville August 17th or somewhere in there, like mid-August. Do a ribbon cutting, and in the first month of operations, they're growing as fast as our biggest market.
Correct.
And that's new. It's a new team, new people there, new project management, new sales agents, new design center, new location, new state, and it's growing faster than any launch has ever grown. And inside of doing that, like it's only possible by the process in which we trained those people and brought those people in, and they're kind of involved in the game months before it's game time. So it's like, football, they got spring camp.
Yes.
We kind of do that internally. Like you guys are, like let's use Conway and Greensboro for instance. We're building those simultaneously. 2 brand new markets. No boots on the ground. I mean, a couple like project management wise, but no boots on the ground from a sales support staff there.
Yep.
But Ross and I go and take down these leases, and then we've got a office build out team that's managing the build out and getting that going, and then you guys are already like recruiting.
Yes.
And so part of that is like we want to get people in seats months before they actually have to play the game, so we can start running through the training process.
Yeah. And so what that looks like is we've already been recruiting for the right people in the right seats. We will have them most likely before you guys ever get keys. And then through that several month build out, whatever that looks like, they'll kind of be traveling to other offices during their downtime, and they'll be shadowing agents in different parts of the process. They'll be sitting with some of our newer agents, just getting a feel for how they've gotten where they are so fast. They'll be sitting with our seasoned agents, and just learning all of the good habits. When their office opens, they'll essentially be a pro. They'll have all the confidence they need. The knowledge is there. It's in a packet. It's easily accessible. They can continue to study that and learn that. But in terms of just mannerisms overall, good customer service, and just confidence, they'll gain that before the office opens.
What's really cool for us, like a lot of people don't see behind the scenes, right? They see Barndo as a brand, right? And they see me all the time, right? Unfortunately. But they see me all the time and they hear me talking about it. And so like my biggest objective is to expose them to what makes us so great, right? That's why like you're on the show and Nick's in the show and Nate's in the show and Jenna is here. They hear me talk about Jenna all the time because she follows me around everywhere. But the reality is the magic that happens is like, I'm let's decide today and go do.
Yes.
For certain, right? Like there's no such thing as too fast for me. And the cool thing is like I think I had an episode a couple weeks back where someone asked the question like, what does that look like? I said I had to hire people to tell me no. And that's my accountability. Like I need qualified people who understand what their job is, understands what their role in the organization is, understands what the outcome is. And if I'm not aligning, they can tell me no. Yeah. And know that I'm going to listen to them. And now I might push back and say like, hey, where is this no coming from? But I have to do that. Like, and so like a big transition in our company, and I give Mike credit for this, saying this statement one day was like, you got leaders in place. How do you get leaders in charge? And so we spent months cutting the red tape away and allowing a transition to take place that a lot of people will never see or understand, to where we have a leadership team now that makes the decisions and handles those things. And like, like what roles do we need to hire? I'm not the best guy to tell us that now. You guys are interdepartmentally, right? What are things that we're going to sell? What are selections that we're not going to do anymore? Who are the new subcontractors? Why did we change? I don't need to know because I trust that you guys are going to make the right decision. Right. But it's happening now in a leadership environment to where all the good did not come solely from me and Ross. it's coming from a leadership team that's dynamic.
Yeah.
And each one of you guys have a specific role and responsibility, and your objective is to be the best at the portion of the process that you control.
Correct.
And like it's just really cool to sit back and watch it. Like the way that you're staffing and the way that you're ramping up for sales, Nick's doing it simultaneously in production. It seems like every week he's got somebody from some remote part of the country that has flown in that's interviewing for a projected launch that might even be 6 or 12 months out.
Yes.
And they're walking through the organization and interviewing and, filling out the culture and figuring these things out. And we're putting them in an incubator saying, look, we're going to be here by this time. This is what it looks like for us. Like we're interested in hiring you. Let's make it permanent in 3 months. We got 3 months of training. You go live on this date. And like, we're able to build that out now to where, so like when we come into a new market, it's day one, same level of excellence that you would have in any market.
Yep.
And that hadn't always been true. We didn't know what we were doing when we opened the Summerville office.
Right.
We had barely figured it out in Duncan, but we knew that there was demand down there. And so, we kind of went through this thing of like, what's chaos, what's adequate, what's good, and what's great. And we've built that over time to figure out what is great. And now we're starting markets great.
Yes.
And it's 100% because of you guys. So let me ask you this: out of all the markets that we've opened and or are considering opening in the next few months, like which one for you is like the most exciting or the most challenging?
So I think the Greensboro office is going to be really exciting. We have a lot of buy-in in that area. We have a lot of leads, a lot of people that are calling and just begging for Barndo to come that way. They want to be part of
we
what
already
we're
have
doing
like
here.
10 or 15 builds up
Right.
there.
And so having a place where they can go and sit down and get the same level of service that they're seeing people on the podcast and people on the Facebook page, and having a place they can go to get that same service that's local in their market, I think is going to be really inspiring. Of course, Conway is just like one of the fastest growing areas we have right now, and I'm super excited to be able to put something physical here. The Holshers were on a previous episode and they were talking about site visits here. That's something the community here hasn't been able to see yet. There's been no coordinated or calculated site visits for people to come and walk through barns, which honestly typically will sell someone when they walk through a Barndo.
Sure. Well, they've never seen them.
The gasp that you hear when people walk through and look up for the first time, is incredible. So I think Greensboro is going to be super fun. We've got a lot of interest there. The community, I think, is going to rally with us very early on. Conway is going to be super interesting because people haven't seen it. But of course, I'm biased to Summerville too, because we're moving from kind of an old part of the area to the hippest, newest part of Summerville that's being built right now. And we're going to be in the heart of everything.
Everything.
And so the walk-in traffic, just people coming to see what we're all about, local businesses that we're going to be able to collaborate with, is going to be really fun.
Yeah, it's going to be stellar. Who, like, over the last 6 months, what's a big win or a couple big wins that you've experienced?
Just in the sales team in general?
Sure.
So we've hired quite a few new sales agents. I think we have 4 new sales agents. One of the biggest wins is one of our office admins unintentionally and accidentally onboarded her first client.
Yep.
That she had just been talking to. They, calling in on the phone and asking questions, and that being her responsibility. They kind of just fell for her. Yep. And she onboarded her first client. And I think she's onboarded 7 clients since then. Yeah. And she came to me and she was like, I think I want to do sales.
Yeah.
And being able to coach her and see that unintentionally, she just started selling, and now she loves that interaction that she has with clients and that trust factor she builds. That's been super fun. That's in our Dunn office. Watching one of my sales agents who started off as an assistant to one of our top producers, seeing her coached up in that role, and then when the Knoxville office opened, her raising her hand and saying, send me. Yeah. I want to help open that. Like, I want to put my stamp there, and service clients there. It was in an area that she wasn't familiar with. So not only did she have to go and study the area, learn the area, but she has done home shows there with hundreds of people in attendance that have signed up and, want to talk more about Barndo. So huge win there in Knoxville. But we've had people, move up and move around in roles like that, and it has just been life-changing for them. Even we had an office admin who's moved into a new selections role.
Yep.
Incredible. And she's creating an entire process that doesn't yet exist.
Yep.
And she's excited about it. So
well, let's talk a little bit about that. So like some of the like we don't change for the sake of changing.
Correct.
We're constantly improving experience. And so the biggest thing for us is like, we know how to build barns. There's no question about it. And we could just stand on that. We could be like, yeah, we can build barndos, and I think there's several people that do that. But what we wanted to do is not just build barndos, but have the best possible outcome. And you can't get there without failures as well as wins.
Mm-hmm.
So have we failed? 100%. Have we had people that gave us feedback that was how to improve? Yes. I think one of the biggest differences in how we operate versus, other people is we receive the negative and the positive feedback the same. And it's not emotional for us. We just go, this is an opportunity to get better. And so we're constantly improving that process. And then there's the side of it to where the sheer volume of clients, it's got to get better and faster and more efficient just because of the amount of people that are coming through.
Right.
And so we've done some of that. So like you talked about the selections manager. So one of the biggest things was like our sales agents were bombarded with so many responsibilities in getting people through the process. And so we started looking at that going, who's absolutely overworked here? And we started there and we started building out what this looks like for them to be able to have more client interaction and be involved with like the big decisions inside of clients' roles and a lot of the administrative type work and the design process and stuff like that. And it's not like it just happened. Initially, you're talking about Hillary and Dunn, right? She was an admin, but she was running selection meetings.
Yes.
And then she just got so good at it that she started closing people.
Yes.
And so now she's a sales agent. And so we were like, well, that was working so good. How do we make that happen here by having a selections manager that meets with everyone and runs this showroom and kind of piecing all that together? Those are the opportunities that are happening. And so like for us internally, if you put on your inside the company glasses, you can say, I'm seeing all this life change. I'm seeing people move up in the company. I'm seeing people make more money and I'm seeing people get better opportunities. But it all comes from a place of improving the process. And I think as long as you stay committed to always getting better, always growing,
Yep.
then you maintain a level of excellence to be the best. And, so like any time that I publicly say the B in Barndo stands for the best, I will get someone who will send me something that says, let me tell you why you're not the best. And I love it. It's an invitation to please tell me, because we will fix it. I'm not so stuck in it that like, no, we will fix it. Like if you didn't have the best experience, great, cool. I want to know about it and I'm going to fix it. And it might just be 10% of people have that view, but the more we can refine and get it better, the better it becomes. And at the end of the day, the biggest thing is we want to build more dreams.
Yep.
We want to build more dreams for more people in more areas, and that's the motivation behind growth.
Yep.
So,
and when we first started, like we were talking about earlier, even those that had a stellar experience and those that had maybe their experience wasn't that great for a number of reasons. People who have never built before, you have no expectations in terms of what this process is going to be like. And some of the negative attention around your experience is more, I've never been through it.
Right.
But if you've truly had a negative experience or you have negative feedback, we're going to improve the process regardless of their stellar experience or their negative experience.
Yep.
And that's, I think, what truly does make us the best. And then you've got people who are like, my experience was great, but now seeing you guys do this again, maybe we'll build another house with you in the future. Like, we want to do this again. We want to, have this great experience at the spec meeting. We want to have a design selections manager. And we welcome all things competition. We were going to put the office in a different place originally. And we had some competition in the market that was like, we don't want them to come be right next to our office. But we welcome competition. We welcome the feedback. We're constantly going to grow from that and do everything we can to improve.
Yeah, well, this comes from operating from a place of abundance. There's more than enough for enough people.
Correct.
We can't build everything. If we tried to be everyone's builder, we would be the worst builder
Right.
on the face of the planet. Our objective is not more. Our objective is to be the best. And, so let me ask you this. As we're on this mission to grow, what are some markets that you kind of think like we would crush it there? Or like you see the inbounds from leads, because Jenna and her department crush leads. Like,
Yep.
And it goes without saying, if we open an area, then inevitably someone's going to say, cool, can you come here now? And, we're trying the best we can.
Yeah.
But like, where are you seeing like a ton of interest and it seems almost impossible to be there, but somewhere you would love to see Barndo be?
Somewhere sunny. Florida.
We are
We
baking
get
now.
a ton of leads in Florida.
Mission accomplished.
You just would not think that people in Florida want to build a Barndo, but you would be surprised how many leads we get from Florida. Georgia, of course, which, I know that's going to be in our sites, but we get a ton of leads in Georgia. People are calling in. Some people ask if they can onboard in these areas and just hang tight. Like, I want to have a spot. Like, I want you to know I'm committed to coming here. If 5 other people commit to come here, maybe you guys will make it happen. And we actually get that, more often than people would think. But certainly Georgia, Florida, Virginia, just those surrounding areas. And then you go to production and you're like, hey, I got a lot of leads in this area. And they're like, no, we're not.
As I said, you said Florida, and Ross is like, take that episode off. Take that episode off. But no, well, it's fun for me because, like, in my mind, Texas.
Yes.
And it seemed like when we started, I was like, if I had to draw a line of where we will never go, it'd be Texas because there's so many builders there.
Yes.
But what's so cool is we have an absolute madness of inquiries from all over Texas.
Yeah.
Like, come to Texas. We want you to build in Texas. And I'm like, you guys have more Barndo builders per capita than anybody in the country.
But it's the experience.
And so it's fun. It's fun to think about it. And so, right now we've got a really good regional focus. We're going to grow at the rate that we can deliver the experience to. That's a learning curve, right? Like I don't want to be there for the sake of being there. I want to be there when we can be great, because I don't want to be there and you not get the experience that you subscribe to.
Yes.
And so we've got a plan. We're definitely expanding. There's some, we put it out there, Greensboro and Conway. There are other ones that we already know. There's other ones that we're already in lease negotiations on.
Yep.
I'm just not going to make them public yet because I don't want to get bombarded with people saying, please sign me up, because it's it's a process to it. But in 18 months, there will be 6 brand new markets, and that's not including Somerville moving to Nexton Square. It's not including Duncan moving into a new design space in the Greenville area. Like, it's not moving. It's not counting those remodels. It's 6 new markets. Conway and Greensboro are 2. There's 4 more, guys. Yeah. There's 4 more.
I know.
And, a year ago, if I had said that, everyone would have been like, you lost your mind. But the fun part is like the more we do it, the better it gets. And then the systems and process, you guys are just crushing it. Like, from a leadership perspective, you guys are crushing it. And, it's fun. And I want people to know that. I want people to know that, like, you don't have to talk to TJ. Yeah. You don't need to CC me on the email if you found my email. Like, I'm thinking about changing mine to, like, Jeff at the Barndo. But, like, if you found my email, or you've like, there's no need. And I tell people all the time, like, I have friends and family that'll reach out to me directly, and I'm like, great, I would love to schedule you with someone who, like, give me your name or your number and your email, and
I'll send it to Alicia.
And they're like, well, can you not just answer my questions? I'm like, no, because I don't know the answers.
Yeah.
Every market's different. There's so much, like, little details that I'm going to tell you the wrong information. Like, I have well-equipped, well-trained people that are better at this than I am. Let me connect you to them. If you want to have a great experience, follow the process. And so that's been fun. It was a little bit challenging at first because I'm like, how do I not know? But you just got to trust the process. Like, there are people, if the people that are in Knoxville are the most equipped people to tell you about how to build in Knoxville. Somerville, you better talk to Somerville people. So it's one of those things, like, there is a method to the madness in which we grow. And I want people to have extreme consumer confidence as we grow. Because, one of the most common things that I see, right, and it's fun to be on this side of controversy now. It used to be, oh, they're new. They're just new. Like, there's no sustainability in them. It's just they're going to be a flash in the pan. And, like, now there's sustainability to it. Now we're in multiple markets. So now that it's shifted to where, Oh, they're just too big, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the initial thought. And what I want people to realize is like every single office is independently operating as a champion brand in this area. And we've got people specific to your needs here. You're not just getting general information. You're getting exactly the recipe to have a successful build in the area that this office services,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not all the same.
Yeah.
Pricing's not the same.
No.
Materials are not the same. Selections are not the same.
The soil.
Yeah, everything is different, and it's built to sustain the environment in which you're building in. And so, like, I think as people continue, like, and nobody that comes and meets us has that.
Yeah.
Nobody that comes in and sits down with us has it. Now, there's several people that come in and decide that we're not the builder for them.
Right.
And that's not a problem. That we build our business that way. We want you to be absolutely sure that we're the best fit for you. Yeah. And if not, at least we didn't get down the road and figure it out. And so, yeah, it's kind of fun. So outside of that, like, what are some changes and stuff that people can look forward to, or things that are going crazy? Because it seems like every day I see you guys just moving tasks around like crazy. Like, what's some new stuff that's coming?
I mean, we're really focusing on showrooms. We're revamping selections. So we've had showrooms now for almost 2 years. So we're starting to see what's popular, what's not popular. We're changing out faucets, fixtures, lighting, flooring options. We're seeing what holds up better. You know, we want to stay fresh. And so if Delta releases new products, I want to release new products. So I want to give people choices. I want to stay with the times. I mean, you've seen builders out there that have the same showroom as when I bought my first place. And so I want to update and freshen up. So showrooms are getting better, they're getting bigger, but also the experience is changing too. So we want people to come in and feel like it's a white glove experience. We want you to come in during your time to make selections and feel like everything revolves around you, everybody's focused on you, what you want, what you need, and we want that to be a long-lasting experience that kind of carries that excitement through the build process. Yep. So updating those showrooms and experience is really what we're focusing on in Q4.
Yep, and I've seen a number of agents doing Saturday and Sunday open houses and getting people exposed to the elements of a build. And like, you know, sometimes it lines up to where you're walking through a near completed one and you get to see that piece, right? But the better ones, the ones that always seem to have like a huge conversion for people that go, right? Like they go in, it's 50% done.
Yep.
And they get to see the things that are unseen. Everybody sees the photos. Everybody sees the walkthrough videos. Yep. Everybody sees the floor plans. But only if you dig do you get to actually experience what it's going to look like 50% through, to where you can literally see the framing, the difference in how those trusses are in there, the difference in the overall structure of the home, the difference in the insulation. Like when we tell you about our spray foam encapsulated envelope, like you don't understand it
unless you see it
until you see it. And so that's a huge thing. And I love that they take their time to do that, because it's not a requirement.
No.
There's nothing that's a requirement at Barndo. It's they choose that because they want to be the best consultant in that process as possible and educate people as best as they can as to why it is what it is.
And we have clients that fly in for those barn tours. When we talk about barn tours on a Saturday, we're not talking about 3 families. We're talking about 30. We're talking about 60.
Yeah.
We're having to split it up on a Saturday so that there's a minimum and a maximum number of people. But they're flying in from other states. They're driving hours upon hours to get there for that visit. Agents are having to take extra agents and project managers on site. It's a whole experience at a barn tour. It's super fun.
Yep. Yeah, I was blown away. There was one recently, I don't remember, maybe in Tennessee, but there were people like, I got clients flying in from Texas, California. Like they were like, we gotta, coordinate all this different stuff, and like they land at 12, so we're gonna be here until 2, and then like it's just fun. Yeah. It's fun, and there's that much interest in it, and what's really cool is when you walk through kind of in that herd, other people are asking questions that you haven't even thought of, so it gives you the ability to hear something and go, oh man. Great question.
Yes.
Let's hear the answer, you know? And at a multitude of these things, like even the homeowners are present, and hey, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's not, because sometimes you're seeing what it's like, but either way, it's great for a client experience, because it's an overwhelming feeling to be in the middle of a build and it's getting really close. And, we were joking about people that live in like fifth wheels on the property, but like there's a certain level of like, this is what your life's gonna look like,
Yeah.
right? Like that like
Yeah.
they're ready to get in. They've got things going on. Like, they're trying to like manage their children, and they've got animals, and they like it gets wild.
Yeah.
And so you get firsthand experience of that. And I mean, like everyone knows we're coming.
Yeah.
But you get to see different levels of excitement. You got some people that are on the back end of it, and they're like, this has been the greatest experience of my life. Then you have people that are in the thick of it, and we've had 3 weeks of bad weather and hurricanes coming through, and trees have fallen on the property, and like, we're out there with chainsaws trying to clear the driveways so we can bring people in. And at that moment, they're not concerned about those people's experience. They're concerned about what they're trying to protect.
Yeah.
And so you have this moment of vulnerability where, yes, they're happy, but this is what it looks like.
Yes.
And people get to put themselves in that seat and go, whew.
And listen, I always remind clients too, when we're walking through Barndo's and it's the happiest moment of their life, a lot of people end up building with us because of that initial tour. And I always let them know, when it's time to tour your barn, you're not going to feel the same way.
Yeah.
You're going to be anxious. It's close to being done. You're worried about kids running through the property or people seeing it. And so I always tell them, like, just remember what it was like when you walked through your first barn and how exciting it was and how grateful that you were able to tour it, but you're not going to feel the same.
Yep.
So you can either be present, or we can send you on a nice dinner while we tour your barn and keep you busy.
Yep.
But it's been super fun. And clients come back multiple times on some of our tours to see that house. Maybe it's a house they want to build, or a plan they're looking at building, or maybe theirs is about to go under construction. And they come back and they tour 2 or 3 times so they can see it in different stages, which is really fun.
Yep. And then you always have people that are like so over the top excited. Like, I've got 2 or 3 people in my phone that have lived in their home now for 2 years, and they're like, yeah, man, send them on over.
Send them to tour.
Yeah, send them on over. It's fine. We're just cooking.
Yes,
we're out grilling
there.
out. Send them on over.
Yes.
Like, and so you have that, and then you have people who are just done. They're done. They're like, nope, it's my time.
Yes.
No, thank you. But and either way, it's a good experience because, like, I get it. I get it. But no, I'm pumped. I'm pumped about where things are going. I'm excited about the team and how everyone's just stepped up, and like the things that y'all are building to make all this possible. Because it's one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to execute it.
Yes.
And we wouldn't be able to execute at the level we execute without a team of people like you and Nick and even everyone that works underneath you.
Yeah.
That brings that core value to life. And like, it doesn't matter what role you have in our company, you are subscribed to the same idea.
Yeah.
Right. And so by having that, like, that is the true magic in it. Like, you don't want to meet me, right? I'm here to tell you about what we've built so you can come in and meet the people that make it possible. Yes. And, your chances are you won't meet Alicia. You'll meet one of the 500 people that work on her team. Yes. But the reality behind it is that it's a lot of people rowing the same direction, fighting the same fight for the same outcome, which is turning impossible dreams into possible realities. And now it's not impossible. We've done it.
Right.
We've done it for years, and we've done it over and over. So we're shifting that over to just building bigger dreams. Yeah. And we're doing that, making that possible by going into new markets, expanding our reach, expanding the ability to convert people's, dreams into reality. And I'm excited about it. And 2025 is going to be massive. We're even calling it like Barndo 2.0.
Yep.
It's Barndo 2.0, baby. And it's just, hey, we're at a new stage in the game, and I'm pumped about it. We got some massive announcements that are going to come out over the next 3 to 4 months, and massive growth in some really cool markets. Just a lot of new things and new opportunities, and increasing the ability for people to get plugged in and go through this experience and build their piece of the American dream. Yeah. This is the dream. Everyone has the dream. It's just few people get the opportunity to make it real.
Absolutely.
And we love doing it. Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I always love to like show you guys off, because I'm like, you don't even know. Like, this is the magic at Barndo. It's not me and Ross. Like, yeah, we pulled it up out of the mud, but since then, like, this is the team. This is one of the faces of the team to make this thing possible. So
I love it.
Thanks for coming to Conway.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Barndo Show podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this content,
hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And then be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms at the Barndo Co. Super simple to find us. And then when you're ready to dive in a little more, maybe look around some of our available floor plan options, or take a look at the gallery of our work, or maybe you're ready to connect with our team and explore what it looks like to build your dream barndominium, you can visit us online at thebarndoco.com.